We are glad that you are with us. This is Good Morning Kenya, and we get on to yet another segment right here on the show. And right now, we are getting into the discussion of cybersecurity and AI. The topic of our conversation today being transforming cybersecurity strategy with AI. And joining me for this particular conversation are people in that industry. And on my immediate left, we have Heather Chowdhury, and he is the Cyber Pro Head of Cybersecurity and AI. And on my far left, we have Dunstan Akwiri. He is the Vice President, Strategic Partnership, Cyber Pro. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
All right, for the purpose of our conversation, if we can just begin with the definitions, that's cybersecurity and AI.
Okay. Cybersecurity and AI, these are actually two very key words, we hear every day now because cybersecurity has been haunting us for quite a bit now. So defining cybersecurity is anything to do with data, whether it is personal, whether it's public data, and how do we protect it. Security, when it comes to data, it has two different understandings. One as how you are securing or storing your data, that is one, and then who has access to it. So if any unauthorized access comes to your personal or public data, that is a breach, and that's which mostly covered under cybersecurity. And when it comes to AI, so AI actually has been in our lives for a very long time. So even very basic things which we do day to day has some kind of automation, some kind of artificial intelligence in it. But that concept has been developed over years, and now it is actually more into making our lives more secure, protecting our data, and if we come across any issues when it comes to data breaches or maybe any cybersecurity attacks, so automation to remediate those attacks, AI has to play a very big role. Yeah.
All right, and maybe how is AI? You've mentioned that it's being used to play those roles that you've just touched on. So how is it being integrated into cybersecurity strategies?
Thank you, Vivian. Now, I like the way you put it. It's cybersecurity and AI.
Yeah.
Like other people put it, cybersecurity versus AI. It's usually not really one of the same, but quite different. Right now, cybersecurity, the whole concept about technology is people, processes, and technology. Right? So cybersecurity is the whole idea of not only data, but being able to make the people aware of the possible threats and how to be able to mitigate around them, and of course to monitor their processes that are going about, to monitor the technologies that are using. So cybersecurity is the whole, I would call it a science and an art all in the same time, how to be able to make sure that your data is safe, the people accessing it are well aware of what is going on, the technologies being used have been tested and proved that they're working very well, and AI basically is making machines more intelligent, either more intelligent or the same intelligence as a human being. So the incorporation of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity is not going anywhere. AI has been with us since the 1950s, all right? So you find that in 2024 currently, the trajectory of AI has really improved over the years. Why? Because there are some new things which have come about that people can easily relate with. Machine learning was back then in the 80s. All right, but now we have deep learning, chatbots. We have generative AI. Look at commonly ChatGPT, what people mostly are using for generating and new or rather summarizing documents. So that is what has really made the trajectory of AI really gone up the scale. So incorporation of AI tools into cybersecurity is something that has to be there. We cannot escape it. So there are very many tools, and unfortunately for the industry, we don't have an all seamless tools to be able to actually mitigate all these things. We have specific tools for something. Talk of endpoints, right? Or endpoint detection and response tools to be able to protect endpoints. Talk of network defenses. There is no seamless tool for protecting all this infrastructure at once. And that is one of the things that I feel we're getting there. We will get there. But so yeah, AI tools are very much essential, and we cannot escape away from it, because right now we have got so many AI-driven attacks. Most of the attacks, in fact 95% of attacks globally emanate from emails. You know, some prince from some very fancy country have sent you an email, you click on it, you get some $10 million, So for you only to download and notice that you have downloaded a virus or a ransomware or some malicious program. So most of those particular emails are sent because they are AI driven. Somebody is able to get very good information and details about you. They draft a very good email through AI, customized for you, to be able to touch, to touch into your emotions, and hence you're able to fall into the trap. So how are we able as human beings to be able to defend this? Is through AI as well. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe what are some other AI-driven tools that are being used to revolutionize cybersecurity that you can touch on? You've mentioned a few. Maybe what others can you touch on?
Okay, so there are so many tools. Actually, more than tools, there are actually basically AI structures which we work on. So what happens, as Dunstan rightly said, that we have, there is no one tool. It's a combination of different practices, different tools, and it totally depends on what industry we are working with. For example, if we are working with banking industry, so they are one of the industries which has the highest capacities or the biggest data they have, because they have a lot of consumer data, transactional data, and they have retrospective data that how, we have like even laws passed locally that for any transactional or user data has to be retained maybe 5 to 7 years. Then based on that, there are different tools which they utilize to enhance the operations. That is one. They can also look into how the threats have been like 5 years ago and how they are now. So same thing, tools which we are using for the well-being of humans, also hackers are using the same tools to nail us down as well. Okay, so it's both ways. So data has to be trained into a certain format for it to be analyzed well. Okay, that's where AI comes in, because when you have bulks and bulks of data from any industry, from any public facing interface, so AI has to look into that if there is any malicious activity going on. If a user who is trying to connect to a certain platform, is it a real user? That's why two-factor authentication came into being. Even when we log on to our banking websites or our mobile apps, it sends you an OTP, and then you have to authenticate yourself severally to be legitimize your access. Okay, so what we can see is that these tools are developed as and when needed. And there is no specific tool, because ChatGPT is one of them. Now Bing AI is one of them. Then Meta AI is another tool we just came into. It came into picture recently. Now some of the local, academia and industry is also start offering some kind of certifications in that, but they are still expensive. They are not widely available. They are not easily available, and then you still have to have a certain level of prerequisite of knowledge into these technologies to even use them properly. Like, for example, GPT prompts, you cannot get it right the first time. You have to keep on working on it. Now, AI has come into picture, like AI over AI, so that is called generative AI, which can create a new output for you. Basic AI is just analysis of data. Generative AI will create a new product out of it. Means that, okay, it has analyzed, then it has found maybe some trigger points, and it is giving you an output in such a way which did not exist before. So that's why we cannot just pinpoint on one tool. These are just platforms to check that whether if it is working or not. But it is working, okay? So we just have to make it more accurate, and accuracy can only come from the accurate data input. If you feed AI tools false data, it will give you a false output, right? So the more accurate data is, the more accurate output can be. So these are the era of people developing new tools, perfecting them, optimizing them. That is the way, I'm from industry. So we have seen industry is developing a lot of new category of hardware as well, which never existed before in such a way. So that the data can be analyzed faster, more accurately. So they have also introduced a combination of machine learning and artificial intelligence to train the data and get the desired output, and the accuracy should be at the highest level. Previous tools we were using the accuracy, some tools giving you accuracy of maybe 50%, some are giving 60%, 70%, but we see considerable difference now because of the new tools getting more accurate. And then again, these are custom tools. again, right, Dunstan said, you cannot have one tool for everything.
Yeah, sure.
Every industry, like healthcare, has to have a different category of tools altogether.
Yeah.
Same way, governments, they have different workloads, different type of data. It has citizen data, so it has to be managed in a totally different way.
Okay.
So these are some of the, things which we can
All
say.
right. Dunstan, you mentioned that AI has been here. You also said that
Yes,
it's been
exactly.
here. You actually gave us a year. It's been here since the 1950s.
Yes.
I think it's just now that we are maybe catching up on it, or rather not really catching up on it, but loudly speaking about it, because people are feeling like artificial intelligence is now just coming in, but it's been there for a while. Now, compared to the traditional methods back then in the day, compared to AI right now, maybe what are some of the advantages that AI has over the traditional methods back then?
Okay, thank you for that, Vivian. Now, to be specific, so that I don't get hung after I've left here, AI has existed. It was basically a research project, right? Back in the 1930s, not even 50s, by a gentleman called Alan Turing, right? So it started gaining momentum around 1950s. And then all of a sudden in 80s, 2010, there was the whole now vibe of machine learning. And then in 2020s, there was deep learning, whereby now we have generative AI and chatbots, all right? And so to the question of the advantages and some of the tools, machine learning basically is just, machine learning is not artificial intelligence. Machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a general name for all these things. All right, deep learning is another category of artificial intelligence, machine learning for that matter. And so we have others, artificial neural networks and so on and so on. And so machine learning is one of the subsets of artificial intelligence that has really been used or is really being utilized in cybersecurity for that matter. So machine learning is essentially trying to identify patterns in a steroidically manner, for lack of a better word, all right? So identifying patterns steroidically, all right? Patterns is what really makes us key in terms of identifying data. There's a triangle, there's a circle, there is a cube, there is a trapezium. So all these types of patterns, for a human mind to be able to interrupt them and really analyze them very fast becomes very tedious. So with the inception of machine learning being enhanced into cybersecurity, you are able to actually do them in a split of a time. So identifying all these patterns, let's say for example, I'll give you a case scenario. There is, when a user is trying to access a domain, for example, kbc.co.ke, all right, that is, they punch in the URL, all right, for the domain, and then it resolves into an IP address, and I think the IP address is 102.224.24.2, if I'm not wrong, for KBC, right? That is what the URL resolves to, the IP address. And that particular IP address is able to get to a file name on a file server. So imagine if the file server has a malicious program. So the users, instead of accessing the content for kbc.co.ke, they're accessing a virus. So it becomes a whole thread. When you put it on a knowledge graph, it becomes a whole thread of not really being able to identify where the problem came in. And maybe this is not just one user. These are thousands of users or millions of users globally. So with the use of machine learning, you are actually able to put it on a knowledge graph. Basically, knowledge graph is able to, this is the ability of using logical and physical world and transforming it into digital concept, so that you're able to identify all these patterns and where they're connecting. So with the machine learning, the whole way of identifying patterns in a very fast way, you can be able to actually know where the threats are coming from, where the threats are emanating.
Before the yoga.
Yes, before the yoga. And actually, that is the difference between the modern way using artificial intelligence and the traditional way, because the traditional way was more of proactive, right? So, for example, a typical antivirus, traditional antivirus, don't want to mention a few, they usually work on a signature based. All right, there is A, there is B. This particular file exists in pool A, so that is a malicious application or a malicious file. Pool B does not exist, it's not malicious. So the question is, what if there is a file that really does not exist in that database? So the traditional antivirus will not be able to determine what really happens, or if it's a malicious or not malicious. But with the introduction and inception of machine learning, it is able to detect from the signatures the unknowns, which becomes a very big issue. Yes.
Yeah. So the main advantage is mainly on identifying and responding to threats.
Identifying, responding, discovering, research. Yes, because now we are having tools just like the way ChatGPT is for prompting documents and everything. You can have a tool whereby you have all these data sets stored in a database, all right, for any organization, and millions of logs and activities are coming in. So you can easily prompt and find where the error came in. And it saves a lot of time, it saves a lot of frustrations for companies and corporates, and yeah.
Yeah, nothing fails to have a disadvantage. So maybe what are the disadvantages of AI? As much as we are lauding it, you know, what are some of the disadvantages?
But okay, going back to the point Dunstan made, actually, what AI does, it provides intelligence to systems to start thinking and behaving like people. Okay, so that's the key. So what normally happens, as he rightly said, the tools or the mechanisms we were using in the past, it was just to a reference point whereby it is good or bad. Okay, so machine learning or deep learning or AI, what it does, it just not only compare it to a reference point, but it also looks at the behavior. Okay, like humans look at each other's behavior. You are angry, you are sad, you are happy, you can see the behavior. So same way, if we talk about, I have like maybe an Excel document, I have maybe spreadsheet, or I have a Word document, I have a letter which I want to open, or maybe a PDF file. These are common documents which we use on a daily basis, right? So I double click on my PDF file, maybe it is a document I received from one of my managers. So it is supposed to open a document and display a document. So that is a normal behavior of a file. Instead of that, if that file is trying to connect to maybe another machine, or maybe it is trying to connect to maybe an external server, or maybe it's trying to open up another file, or maybe another application which is not listed as a safe one. So actually that's a behavior that is not comparable to anything we have seen in the past, right? So that behavior analysis also enables our cybersecurity infrastructure through ML, AI, and deep learning, that this is something funny, which hasn't happened in the past. Now, coming to your point, what are the drawbacks or maybe the shortcomings when it comes to AI? Now, I just want to refer to a point earlier you put up for Dunstan, that why now the buzz is of AI and, you know, all these things. AI requires data. Our country haven't had much data in 90s, right? We are like a new generation digitized country, right? So we start building our databases from 2010 onwards most of the time. That's why now we have enough data that we can start implementing AI models. So again, the point earlier discussed that AI can only work efficiently if we provide it with the right data. If data is manipulated, the outcome will be manipulated. That's where a lot of cyber threat actors, they work with AI whereby they feed your systems wrong information and a wrong output comes up. Okay? So that is another reason our Gen AI tools, when we use them, the reference data is not enough. So legitimacy of data is key. That is one shortcoming. Second shortcoming is that the environment we are using it at, because again, AI still use some kind of reference points, which is our primary data. Okay? So the output is totally driven by that. So again, reliability is again questionable. That how much we rely on output. Who's going to check that if the AI has generated a certain output for you or a certain data set for you, how accurate it is, right? So that's where generative AI tools are now developed to reanalyze the AI outputs as well. But again, trust me on this one when I say that, because I am telling you from experience. AI adoption for smaller automations is good. But at this point in time in Kenya, we cannot have a fully automated platform. Whether it is a simple shopping cart on one of the e-commerce websites, a lot of people does not have automated fulfillment.
True.
Right? Even for payment processing, there are so many payment gateway switchers, they want to come to Kenya. We still don't have Apple Pay here. We don't have Google Pay over here. Why? Because the fully automated system is not there yet. So we are building our data, we are analyzing it, and we are adapting to the new AI tools. But the accuracy is going to be a threat always. So we can be automated, but we cannot be fully automated. But we need more learned people like Dunstan, my brother over here, people who really know, lead the nation, enable our kids to learn this thing from their high schools, from their university level, to understand what this whole platform is about. So that we have more people who are designing more accurate tools, more, like I want to take one name, it's called LLM, Large Language Modules, whereby you can analyze bulks of data. So kids who are in universities right now, they can start learning how to create LLMs. So that tomorrow, 5 years, 10 years after, when we have a lot of data to be analyzed, so the accuracy of our output would go higher and higher with more specialized people available in the industry and also in the local job market.
Just to add something on it, intelligence basically is because of 3 components. All right, it can be defined as so many things, but intelligence is basically to be able to learn, to be able to infer, and then to be able to discover. That's all about intelligence, and that's what we're trying to do with all these artificial intelligence in terms of developing them and building the whole infrastructure. And the key thing, what Haida had talked about, the key thing in shortcomings for AI is the legitimacy of the data that is being trained on. Because that is the main thing that these malicious actors use to be able to actually give give false positive in terms of outputs and results. Because I want to be able to know that on this day, so and so comes to work, they download maybe 3 confidential files in a week, but all of a sudden they are creating new accounts, they're downloading close to 300 confidential data and code documents or data or information, and then they're deleting their accounts. So I want to be able to analyze that particular pattern. But if I am not able to do that because of the false data that was initially used to train this particular model, then I mean it's of no use. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe what are the ethical considerations when it comes to using AI in cybersecurity, specifically when we're talking about data protection? Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I can take that one for you. So, this has been in discussion for long.
Yeah.
But thank you to Government of Kenya that finally we have a law on protecting data privacy, which came into force earlier last year, whereby now we have like a dedicated platform, the Office of Data Privacy and Security Commissioner. So that has actually changed quite a bit, because now people are really vigilant that what information to share and then to whom to give access. So data privacy has always been there. It's been a very big issue. Unknowingly, we pretty much shared our yearbook pictures on social media, and then after that, what happened to those pictures, we don't know. So practically, me personally, for last 10 years, I do not post anything on social media anymore because I don't know who has access to it.
Speaking about that, how do we move forward, from now? Because most of us, our information is on social media.
Yes.
It's right there. Anyone can just get access to it. There's someone I saw just recently complaining because someone took up did some AI stuff and generated a person who looks exactly like me speaking about this product. And I wasn't the one speaking about it. The voice is mine because my voice is on YouTube, my voice is there, the face is there. So how do we move forward from there?
So
are there tools being looked into to try and counter that?
Okay, so actually this is what Dunstan was saying. Your data was trained into a system to generate something, right? So that's where local laws and legislation has to play a very, very important role. Okay? Because see, unknowingly, a lot of people do not protect their personal data. Okay? And if you look at the social media platforms we use, the disclaimer says that we will use your data for marketing purposes, we will use your data to developing new products, we will use your data for maybe local companies to do marketing for you, so all those things are there. And knowingly or unknowingly, we have accepted that in our previous disclaimer signing and okay. And
we always just
exactly.
Without even
So
doing it.
I think this thing has to go down again, what I earlier said, it has to go down to our kids. We have to start training them and making them understand. Because see, at this point, if I come to know something is not going on okay, so I know which tools to work with and maybe protect ourselves. But a kid of 10 or 11-year-old using mama's or papa's phone, and they are just accessing something or maybe making profiles while using their father's or mother's phone. So actually they are potentially exposing their parents to threats which they don't know, they didn't vouch for. So I can give you an example. I have a 10-year-old son. So he likes to do gaming online and stuff. So one of these days, he used his mother's email address to sign up to a platform. Eventually, it was a scam, and actually, somebody was trying to hack my wife's email address. So I told her, because I also got an alert, I told her, who's using your email? Because somebody is trying to change your password. So it was my son who was trying to use her email to sign up to a gaming website, which happens in every house nowadays. So actually we have to train our kids more and give them that information that this is what is happening out there on social media, on gaming websites, because actually it is just like a carrot for the rabbit. They show kids that, okay, you can access this website, just use your mom's email address, and that mom's email address was connected to her bank account. It was connected to her credit card. The phone number was connected to her credit card. So that financial theft is now being initiated from the kids because kids does not have that level of knowledge. So these kind of threats can be prevented from the house level. You start talking to your kids, tell them the devices are for you to access a certain area only. You cannot just keep on using it. Then we train our students. And also we have to train our industry as well. Whether it comes to banking, when it comes to our government, people has to get trained. That training is key. Because if you are not trained on how to sharing or accessing a certain type of data, then we are bound to make mistakes.
Yeah, you won't know,
Right? Yeah.
As we come to the end of this conversation, maybe how will the adoption of AI impact cybersecurity professionals?
Well, I will quote somebody in some conference who said, AI is not going anywhere. And really, AI is not so much going to replace people, but people without AI will be replaced by people with AI.
Okay.
All right. And the whole concept is, the reason as to why, just to take you back a little, the reason as to why I said that is a tricky one on matters ethics, because there is a whole idea of data confidentiality and data privacy. But again, on the other side, of which is being separated by a very thin line, there is the matter of how are we going to access this data to train our models if we're being restricted not to have them because of matters data privacy or data protection. All right. So it all comes down to another analogy. It all comes down to our police forces. I mean, we're entrusting them with our lives and we're giving them guns and everything, but they're able to protect our lives. So we really need to look for a way to be able to give education to these particular individuals, engineers and scientists, all right, who want to be able to train our models, who want to be able to be upfront in terms of artificial intelligence products and cybersecurity, so that not only do we trust them, but we also believe that they're going to use our data to be able to protect us or for our own good. So, and that is what we try to do in the industry or as a company. Not only do we train on cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, but also we do train on the ethics and the communication parts of it. Because at the end of the day, being a human is what matters. Yeah? So when I give you my data, I want to trust that I'm giving you a script to go and do, but again, please don't do it without my consent. Because at the end of the day, we cannot say that we will be able to have tools that, you know, the moment I put Vivian's video online, they pull it down. Internet is so huge. So we really can't do that because maybe it's targeting Africa, but somebody has posted in, you know, in the US or in Asia, yes. So we really need to strengthen on that matters of ethics, and that is one of our core things that we do at our company, CyberPro. But again, the whole concept is we need to make everybody aware of what is happening and what is going on in the world.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this conversation. And thank you just for informing us and educating us on this matter that is cybersecurity and AI. We look forward to have you more and more time so that we can get into this.
Just before we finish.
We're overrunning.
Okay. No worries.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to each and every one of you who has been tuning in on the show. This is where we put a cap to today's Good Morning Kenya. Until tomorrow, God willing, do have yourselves a lovely day. Goodbye.